Hi, I'm Frank McDonough, the questionable botanist here at the Los Angeles County Arboretum and Botanic Garden, and I take a look at some of the more interesting plant questions that I received throughout the day. And I've got two things to go over with you today. One is a palm disease, maybe an insect, a pygmy date palm problem, and another is a follow-up on the bat story we did yesterday. What happened to that lady who picked up the sick bat? We'll take a look at both of those here on the questionable botanist. First, let's take a look at the palm disease. This is a Phoenix roebelenii, and it was brought to my attention when I was at the car wash during my lunch break. I was talking to one of the gentlemen there at the car wash who I had recommended some plants for a backdrop to the car wash, and he got to talking and said, hey, you know, I think I have a fungus on my palm. I said, I'll take a look at it, see what's going on. So I went over and took a look at the pygmy date palms that they had there at the car wash, and lo and behold, this was on the pygmy date palm. At first I didn't know exactly what it was until I took a closer look, and here is the closer look, and you can see on the left hand side, if you look really hard, those are scale. In fact, they're red scale. This is the red date palm scale. It's been in California since the turn of the century, and for some reason it tends to affect Phoenix roebelenii, which is a pygmy date palm and native to Vietnam and to steamy jungles. Affect it the most. It doesn't seem to affect actual date palms that much, but it affects this one, and it turns out that it affects Phoenix roebelenii, the pygmy date palms that are in shady areas the most. So one of the ways to treat this is to take your palm and put it in sun for a while and allow the foliage to harden up. So apparently what happens is in a shady area, and it does tolerate shade, it's actually recommended for shade, in a shady area it is more susceptible to the scale, most probably because the foliage isn't tough enough to stand up to the scale's onslaught. What can you do if you can't take them out into the sun? Well, there is an insecticide or two. I don't recommend using insecticides, but in this case, you might be able to use imidacloprid. I don't like imidacloprid for most things, especially flowering plants. It's not a good idea to use it on flowering plants, but fortunately these things rarely flower, especially in the shade. Just the same, the best way to deal with this is to take it out in the sun and then later on clean off the leaves. After new leaves have developed in the sun, clean off these old mite-infected leaves and then put it back in the shade for it to be infected by the mites again. So that is the plant question. I want to go back to something that happened yesterday. I had a call from somebody who worked at a pet shop. They had found a bat out in the parking lot that was half alive, and they picked it up. This is the worst thing you can do with a half-alive bat. Chances are it has some grave disease, and chances are really good that grave disease is rabies. And so I recommended to her that she take herself and the bat to the hospital. I called today to find out what exactly happened with the bat and the woman, and it turns out she's okay. She went to the hospital, thank goodness. She apparently got some rabies shots. They're not the hideous large needle to the stomach kind of affairs they used to be. Apparently getting rabies vaccine or rabies treatment is nowhere near as painful as it used to be. But somewhere along the line, somebody at the hospital or who knows where lost the bat, so they're not able to test the bat for rabies, unfortunately. That's kind of a shame. Anyway, from what I hear, she's doing fine and has learned a lesson not to pick up sick bats. And again, if you ever find a bat, even though it looks cute, it looks harmless, if it's hanging around and letting you touch it, that's a really bad sign. It's pretty sick. Most bats won't let you anywhere near them. So stay away from languid bats. And that's it for the Questionable Botanist today. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll be here tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll be looking